Now, the National Association of Sachet and Packaged Water Producers have described a recent study by the Ghana Statistical Service which found appreciable levels of human excreta in a lot of sachet water on the Ghanaian market as unmeritorious and one that lacks clear motive. The association says the report is a malicious attempt to destroy a thriving industry and one that is targeted at drawing unpopular attention to the Ghana Statistical Service. Here is a news desk report on the study.
In 2010, pipe-borne water was pegged as the main water drinking source in most homes in Ghana, but the figure is reported to have reduced from 46.5% to 31.7% over the last decade, with sachet water becoming the preferred source of drinking water. According to the 2021 Population and Housing Census, about 37% of the 8.3 million households in Ghana consume packaged sachet water as their main source of drinking water. The figure represents a quadruple increase from 9% in 2010. The consumption of sachet water is said to be prevalent in urban areas, with 5 regions cumulatively recording higher rates than the national percentage points. Greater Accra region recorded the highest use of sachet water for drinking, while the Northeast region was the lowest. However, the Ghana Statistical Service is worried the figure poses a public threat as a number of water sources for packaged water production have been found to contain fecal matter. Assistant Chief Statistician with the Ghana Statistical Service, Dr. Peter Tichipepra, was speaking at a stakeholder engagement in the water, sanitation and hygiene sector.
We need to pay attention to those who are into the production of sachet water. We tested the source of water for the household, where we realized that certain percentage of water is being contaminated with fecal, or I'll put it, fecal contamination. Fecal contamination simply means we have toilet in our water.
The engagement in Kumasi was to keep stakeholders in the wash sector abreast of the findings from the census to inform policy. Dr. Tichi is therefore admonishing thorough examination of produced sachet water on the Ghanaian market.
As a country, we need to encourage the FDA to embark on thorough monitoring and supervision. They should try their best to test on a regular basis the sources of water in the production of these sachet water.
For JoyNews, Emmanuel Bright-Kweku reporting.
Now, the president of the association, Magnus Nunu, spoke to me earlier on News Desk rubbishing this report.
We have done a research like that, and then the main source of water, supplying better than the national supplier, right, to the magnitude you have, and it's contaminated, then it must correlate to certain health figures, like epidemics or so, cholera or whatever. I can't collect if there has been any epidemic within the past 5 years. I mean, apart from the COVID. The COVID is not epidemic, it's pandemic. You know, so you could have this, you could have done some research on it, like, okay, over this period, we're having that an epidemic, cholera outbreak was there, or typhoid went up by these figures, then you can correlate. But then to do a one-sided research and throw it into the public domain, and somebody has depended on this water for the past 5 years, so telling that all along you were drinking, excuse my word, and they use the word toilet and shit. I mean, it is so bad. I mean, this is a very shoddy work, which you must look at it and then get it done properly. And the motive is not really clear, you know. The motive is not really clear. Why he has to do something like that? Food and Drug Authority. They are very strict, and they are there to protect the public interest. What they do is that, listen, everybody, whether it is food or water or what have you, they are there. They have to give you license before you drop the first water on the market. So then every product by brand has an ID number stated on the product. You are supposed to, by law, go to them, or they will come to you unannounced and review your certificate once yearly. So what the time they did the cluster survey and then releasing the results by gender, if you pick an average company, FDA might have reviewed their operations about 5 times, and they do that on a daily basis.
Now, the LPG Marketers Association of Ghana have suspended their strike action to pave way for the reopening of their stations across the country. This comes after Cabinet lifted a ban on the suspension on the construction of ongoing gas stations that came into effect in 2017. Cabinet, at its 31st sitting held on August 3rd, granted a special dispensation to allow for the completion of the construction of stranded LPG facilities. In a letter communicating this outcome, the NPA is asking all oil marketing companies and liquefied petroleum gas marketing companies to resubmit their applications to the authority. Now, joining us more on the phone is the Vice President for the LPG Marketers Association of Ghana, Gabriel Kumi. Thank you so much, Mr. Kumi, for joining us. Can you confirm for us the suspension of this strike action?
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. Yes, the strike action has been called off with immediate effect. We received a communication from MPA yesterday in the night. We met this morning, and then the consensus was that in the interest of good faith, we should call off the strike immediately. So we have done that. We sent messages across the whole country. All LPG stations in Ghana are open for business.
So, as we speak, if a customer drives to any of your stations, will he or she get gas?
He will get gas. Just move to your favorite LPG station, you'll get gas to buy, so you can come and cook to celebrate the holiday. But even though we have certain reservations with the letter, we think we want to appeal to MPA that the speed and the strength with which they enforce the ban on this construction, we are appealing to them to adopt the same speed to ensure that these stations comes up as immediately as possible, because we have lost a lot. We have lost a lot. If you borrowed 500,000 cedis in 2017, can you calculate the interest and see how much you paid now? But we are not asking for any compensation or anything. All that we want is to work for Mother Ghana and to work to expand the LPG industry. So we are urging them that they should be very, 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 very swift. But we believe in the leadership of Mustafa Hamid, and we are sure that he's going to adopt some speed and some swiftness to get all these stations up and going so we can employ Ghanaians. Every LPG station you see out there employs about 10 Ghanaians. So if you have over 100 stations coming up, you are looking at giving direct employment to over 1,000 Ghanaians. We are going to work to pay taxes. Government intends expanding the penetration of LPG from the current 25% to 50% by the year 2030. If we get all these stations open and running, by this time, if we had gotten all these stations open and running, by this time, government objective of achieving that target, we would have been very close to that.
But you spoke to me about reservations. What are these reservations you have in the letter?
Well, we have reservation on resubmission of application and all that. The letter was not, I'm sure you have a copy of the letter.
Yeah.
It wasn't detailed enough, but we think we can sit down with MPA and then work out the details. And all that we are urging is that there should be no dilly-dally.
Okay, all right.
We should be very, very straight and get all these stations up as immediately as possible. We've lost too much.
Gabriel, how does this affect the tanker drivers as well? Because they were also on strike.
Yes, the drivers have a certain reservation on the tracking device and all that. They wanted to meet the authorities today, but unfortunately today is a holiday. But fortunately for all of us, the minister has fixed a meeting for 10 a.m. tomorrow. Well, as soon as that issue is resolved, the drivers are also going back to work.
So as we speak, even though you have called off your strike, they are still on strike, right?
Yes, the drivers are still on, but we try to appeal to them, but they want that issue resolved. But unfortunately, we can't resolve that issue because it's a holiday. But I'm very, very, very hopeful that tomorrow morning we should be able to resolve that issue so the drivers goes back to work.
Thank you very much. Gabriel Kumi is Vice President for the LPG Marketers Association of Ghana. Now, to other stories. 12 persons have been killed in an accident at Edweje on the Elmina Commander Junction Road in the Central Region. According to the police, the 12 persons died when a Toyota Hiace bus with registration number WR1347-17 collided head-on with a DAF truck with registration number GM2570-12. The dead include 5 females and 7 males. Their bodies have been deposited at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital morgue for autopsy. Our correspondent Richard Kojo has been speaking to the MC for KEEA, Solomon Ebo-Apia, who is urging the public to help identify the victims of this gory accident.
The cause of the accident was very horrible because apparently somebody had set fire close to the road and the smoke overtook everything, so the visibility was very poor. So I'm told that the trailer who was coming, and there was also a car from Cape Coast Lane going to Chakra, the Toyota Hiace. The Toyota was in its lane. Then this trailer tried to overtake a car before the trailer. Then they collided with the Toyota Hiace. And 12 persons lost their life and one is in a critical condition. So far, we've identified a driver as Kofi, and in all 7 males and 5 females, 12, and 1 critical person is also a female who is at the Central Regional Hospital. As this accident has happened, we are appealing to the public. If you know a sister or a brother who travel at that time from Kumasi to Takrade in a Toyota Hiace, you come to the intervention and you can be able to identify the body.
You are the MC for this area, the person who set the fire and made the smoke engulf the entire area. What is happening?
No, the police and the fire service are after the person. Investigation has already been commenced, and we'll bring the perpetrator to the book and make sure that the law deals with the person. Because it's sad. We've been telling, advising that you don't, decide to set fire anyhow, anytime, at your own convenience. That is not proper. They are laid down procedure. And this is a test case for us to make sure that whoever owns that land, whoever set the place ablaze as a result, this unfortunate didn't happen. We are going to deal with the person within the remit of the law.
Now, for the 5th time, the Nalerigu Magistrate Court in the Northeast region has remanded into custody the 3 individuals who assaulted a 14-year-old boy with acid at Nalerigu. The 3 individuals, including the main suspect, Ibrahim Seidu, a teacher of Nalerigu Senior High School, have been in custody since May when police arrested and charged them with attempted murder and aiding and abetting the offense of attempted murder. On Wednesday, August 3, the prosecutor told the court that investigators were waiting for advice from the Attorney General's office and also a forensic report of the substance that was used in the attack on the victim. Correspondent Elias Utanko was in court and sent us this report.
The 3 individuals were all in court when the case was called on Wednesday. They were arrested in May, police say, after a failed attempt on the 9th of 30th June to kill a 14-year-old boy who had been tortured into a coma with a substance said to be acid and thrown into the bush after having alleged that the boy was caught stealing a bicycle belonging to the first accused. The attack has resulted in the amputation of an arm and leg of the boy after several months of hospitalization. The main suspect, Ibrahim Seidu, a Nalerigu Senior High School teacher who reportedly initiated and took part in the attack, is being accused of attempted murder, whilst his accomplices Inusa Mohammed and Inusa Wadudu are both said to have aided and abetted the crime of attempted murder. They have since been in custody from the time of the arrest, as the prosecutor says the Attorney General is yet to send in his advice after the docket was delivered to his office. And again, he was also waiting for a forensic report on the substance used in the attack. On Wednesday, the prosecutor maintained his position and prayed for the suspect to be remanded. The judge, His Worship Simon Kofi Bediako, admitted the prayer of the prosecutor and so remanded the suspect to reappear on the 17th of this month. Speaking to Joy News after the proceeding, the boy's father, Kojo Wundua, repeated his appeal for justice.
I'm praying that everything should go well for me because I'm suffering with the boy. He's in the house. So I want everything to go well for me.
How is the boy now?
He's doing good by His grace. He's in the house. Just only the right leg and then the left hand. What I have to say is I am appealing for them to do the justice as Allah said for me. I have nothing to say.
From Nalirgo, Ilyasu Tanko reporting for Joy News.
Now, latest investigative piece by Corruption Watch reveals widespread corruption and malpractices aimed at assisting candidates to cheat in the 2021 West African Senior Secondary School Certificate Examination. In a following report, Frederick Esiama tells a story of how some senior high school authorities and some racketeers helped students to cheat in the exam.
In July 2021, Corruption Watch received tip-offs about the intention of some schools and individuals to perpetrate examination malpractice during the 2021 West African Senior School Certificate Examination, WASSCE. Consequently, in September, Corruption Watch investigative journalist Frederick Esiama set out to investigate the potential examination malpractices, paying special attention to orchestrated efforts by some school authorities to assist candidates to cheat at examination halls. At the All for Christ Senior High Technical School, our team established that the authorities in question set up several platforms on social media through which they circulated solutions to examination questions. This enabled invigilators to pass answers to the examination questions to candidates while examinations were in progress. The biggest of these cheating platforms set up by the school for invigilators is a WhatsApp page known as the Integrity Vibes. This page had over 80 participants, including this Corruption Watch investigator. They also used the page to inform invigilators about news and alerts from WAEC and other organizations such as the Africa Education Watch. On Wednesday, September 15, 2021, participants on the page took keen interest in the WAEC update that announced the rescheduling of papers of 2 courses and the listing of 11 schools for close monitoring. Later that day, one participant shared a voice note that discouraged teachers and students from answering questions posed by journalists who come probing into malpractices.
As at now, one thing you should know is that the media will start to ask questions. They will come to the schools. This is what you have to do. Never answer any question to any media. Do not conform to them. Do not make yourself available to answer any question. If you are being asked, tell them you have no idea. Did the paper leak? You don't know. All I want you to do now is just keep quiet, because the more you talk, the more you make the issue worse.
The first core papers that candidates wrote were English Language 2 and 1 papers, that is, the essay and objective papers, which were written on Monday, September 13, 2021. We captured some authorities of both All for Christ Senior High Technical School and Do High assistant candidates to answer questions. At Do High, candidates paid an unspecified amount of money before the start of the papers. A female student was assigned the responsibility of collecting the unspecified amount of money before the start of the English Language Paper 2 at 8:30 a.m. In return, candidates were allowed to share ideas. Moreover, teachers and invigilators assisted the candidates to answer questions in the comprehension and summary sections of English Language Paper 2.
Hey, do you also copy? Isn't it a sin? Are you not committing a sin? If you don't understand something, call me for help. Which question? Question 6, the II. It says she secured the support of a bank that loaned. There is a word there. It is L-O-A-N-E-D. That loaned her some money. It is loan, then you add yidi. Be fast, write fast, else when the person comes, we'll see how you'll be able to write.
There was prior information to students that they had to make arrangements on their own for the essay section of the English language paper 2. This was the school's strategy for avoiding the detection of mass cheating. However, a female student did not follow instructions to hand over all extraneous materials after usage. She consequently implicated Maxwell Ama, a science tutor of the school, as the source of the material. A commotion followed.
If you have finished copying from your foreign material, hand it over. Don't make noise. Don't talk. Just give it to me. Someone has written something for you. As soon as I picked it, you said, Sir Max, let's see if next time someone will help you. I will not write something for you so that you expose me. You don't know the answer. Assuming you even paid me 1 billion cedis, do you have to mention my name? You said I took money from you. The person told me that you said you gave me money.
Now, the issue of examination malpractice is a major concern for authorities in the education sector. The Upper East Regional Security Council closed down the Bogatanga Technical Institute following a riot earlier on Tuesday. The students rioted following the arrest of 2 of their colleagues and a teacher for allegedly engaging in examination malpractice. Students were asked to vacate the school premises shortly after. Deputy Ranking Member on the Education Committee of Parliament, Dr. Clement Park, believed the West African Examination Council, the Education Ministry and the police are all complicit in the canker.
You will see how, high-level government officials, ministers, have either played it down or even blatantly denied in the face of hard evidence. So we need a much more robust and holistic approach. And that is why, for example, we have filed a private member's motion in Parliament asking for a bipartisan parliamentary committee to be formed to look into this matter of examination malpractices for the last 10 years so that we can see the trends and look at the emerging threats, so that collectively as a nation, we can begin to look at a much more realistic way of addressing this. Because those who are in charge and those who ought to make sure that, WAEC administered examinations in Ghana have integrity are the very same institutions, or if you like, elements from the same institution who are supposed to do what they ought to do in the public interest to ensure that the exams that our students write, the grades that they get, can be grades that we can all be proud of, are actually doing the opposite. So when you are confronted with this type of scenario, the only other option is to find a body and bring together all stakeholders to the table for us to properly diagnose the issue and to prescribe what I believe will be a lot more far-reaching, sanctions. And if that requires, changing the current arrangements, and some have even suggested breaking the monopoly that WAEC has.
Now, contributing to the same discussion on the AM show, Programs Director with the African Education Watch, Kofi Nimo Jr. says the police has shown little interest in prosecuting persons caught in examination malpractices.
It's unfortunate to say that this is not new. It's exactly what we've been saying over the years. And this is just video evidence of what we've been talking about. And this is just one aspect of it. This is the malpractices that happen in schools, perpetrated by students on one side, and then school management, teachers, compromised WAEC officials, security officials, and then even the security of schools who handle the gates and then give access to persons who enter the school, even up to the examination centers. So this has been ongoing for years, and to say it is a huge conglomerate or it's a very huge cartel, the examination malpractice business is a multi-million Ghana cedis business, which has been ongoing for years. But as I said early on, this is just the malpractice aspect. The question leakages also happen online. But before the questions will leak, there are some WIOC officials or some security personnel who have been compromised within the system who aid for the questions to leak, for those online to also have access to the questions that leak. And the schools engage in this malpractice on two fronts. Some who have foreknowledge, and then also those who, whether the questions leak or not, have subject teachers on standby who, when the questions are shared in the examination hall, solve, distribute to students, or invigilators on standby to teach these students when the examinations are ongoing.
Now, an obstetrician gynecologist at the Tamale Teaching Hospital, Dr. Hawa Malechi, has disclosed that the region recorded 70 maternal mortality cases in 2021. She said the region has already recorded 57 in the first half of this year. Dr. Hawa Malechi disclosed this at the launch of the Zero Tolerance for Maternal Death campaign in Tamale.
The workshop brought together health workers from the regional, metro and sub-metro level to deliberate on how to address these challenges. Dr. Howard said postpartum hemorrhage and eclampsia conditions are responsible for up to 60% of deaths annually, with most deaths occurring within 24 to 48 hours of delivery.
Now, when we look at causes of death, obstetric case fatality, when you take the whole, we still have ruptured uterus, postpartum sepsis as the leading causes of maternal mortality. And so far as I am an obstetrician gynecologist, yes, I am a champion when it comes to CAC services in this country, but I think my foremost responsibility for the women of Ghana is being an obstetrician gynecologist. So I will not gloss over these two. Postpartum hemorrhage and hypertension are the ones that are causing the biggest cause of mortality in all the hospitals combined in this country. And as we go forward, we will talk about ways that we can push to reduce these figures. And as we push to remove all those, reduce all those figures, yes, it will affect the figures on abortion as well.
She added that abortion was also killing a lot, and there was the need to increase campaign on the use of family planning in the region.
Now, when you look at abortion, okay, here, 0.5% of cases were due to abortion, and abortion kills even more than ectopic pregnancy or obstructed and prolonged labor. So the issue of abortion is still a major problem. We still have to look at it because it is so easy to handle compared to handling these big ones. It's so easy to handle. The first way is not for the person not to get pregnant. If you don't get an unwanted pregnancy, then you don't have the need to terminate it. So we have to look at our contraception again as a country, because we do not promote contraception, and when we come to look at northern region figures, we will realize that we are way down the line when so far as contraception is concerned. 5,596 suffered from severe complications. And what are some of these severe complications? Some of them get taking all sorts of wild chemicals. They end up losing their kidneys and their livers as a result. Some of them insert sticks into the womb to try and terminate a pregnancy. They end up with tetanus, and then we lose them. Some get sepsis, okay, bad infection. I can't tell you the number of wombs of young women that I have taken off from TTH because of unsafe abortion.
Deputy Director Administration at the Northern Regional Health Directorate, Jeremiah Timov, said the workshop was to help fashion a roadmap in addressing the issue of maternal mortality.
That has also contributed to maternal deaths in our environment. And as a result of the fact that whether we like it or not, abortions will continue to take place. The system has recognized that there is the need to find a way of allowing people to go through safe abortion, to be able to prevent or avert some of the dangers that arise out of abortions and eventually end up in maternal mortality. And I believe today's topic is geared towards discussing the measures that have been put in place so that our stakeholders will see our roles clearly in contributing towards safe abortion care.
You're also watching Joy News today here on the Joy News channel. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we have latest in business. Stay with us. Welcome back from the break. Now, the Chief Executive Officer of Mobile Money Ghana Limited, Eli Hine, has called for more stakeholder engagement, including the Bank of Ghana on the yet-to-be-launched digital currency, the ECD. Speaking at the launch of Momo Month, he said this will increase financial inclusion and drive digital service delivery in the country. There's more in this report.
At the launch of this year's Momo Month in Accra, CEO of Mobile Money Ghana Limited, Eli Hine, highlighted the importance of the central bank's ECD. He said the digital currency will promote financial inclusion and drive home the digital agenda. Mr. Hine said as part of the Momo Month celebration, Mobile Money Ghana Limited will be organizing a stakeholder forum to discuss opportunities.
I would also be discussing something pertinent to the future of the business, which is, I'm sure you all know, the ECD. The ECD is the central bank digital currency, CBDC we call it, and it's been introduced, it's been piloted. We believe that stakeholders must look at the future of ECD and how it impacts the ecosystem. And so there's a stakeholder event next week, Wednesday, and at that event we'll be discussing the opportunities around the CBDC or ECD and how stakeholders can work together with the regulator, which is Bank of Ghana, to use the ECD platform to drive further penetration of financial inclusion and digital service delivery. So,
since this year's celebration is centered on the role of partnerships in fast-tracking growth in digital payments, Eli Hine called for more partnerships between fintechs and service delivery agencies to quicken the growth of electronic payment systems.
Most importantly is the whole conversation around partnership and how partnership can help us to, as it were, drive further digitization and accelerate the growth of the digital payments ecosystem.
August has been dedicated as the Momo Month. The 10th edition of the Momo Month celebration is under the theme Accelerating Growth in Digital Payments, the Role of Partnerships. Momo has been in existence for about 13 years and has since led the charge in developing innovative ways of making payments on digital platforms.
Now, the head of operations of the Ghana Digital Center, David Ofori, has called for a regulatory framework to protect Ghanaians working remotely. Speaking on Joy Business Social, he said a policy will protect citizens who are now becoming familiar and embracing remote jobs outside the country to avoid exploitation. He said though remote jobs offer Ghanaians employment opportunities, the way to go is to regulate the industry.
So these meant that there will be a generation who would never see what it means like working for Gassem for 40 years or working for Anglo Gold for 30 years. That's the world they'll come and meet. And for those people, what we can do or what we can bequeath to them is a right legal framework that protects their health, that takes care of their welfare. So that, because technology and the era we're in, there are the goods and the bad. And so you find people who would want to necessarily take advantage of workforce and don't really care a hoot about what is the implication. So as a country, we can have our brightest and our sharpest talents working remotely for companies in Europe, but are we making sure that they don't take them for a ride? Because when these people get older and they become frail, they are old in Ghana, they become frail on Ghana. They will depend on the Ghana healthcare system. Who is going to ensure that they don't have certain ailments that will impact our economy? Because if our health budget as a country goes up because more and more people are suffering from remote working, who is paying the bill? The company sitting in Seattle or sitting in San Francisco is not paying the bill. They are just enjoying our young talents' brains, and yet they are not ensuring that they are even working in an environment where, can I just have a view of your work desk? Is it suitable enough for this work you're doing? So if you look at the clothing, if you look at the fashion industry, now it's not good enough having a pair of jeans hanging up in a shop, in a top shop or next shop, and then you buy it. But who picks the cotton in the cotton farms? So people are saying that as a jeans distribution company, you have to ensure that the cotton farmers are getting the right working environment. So probably we need to start looking at that to say that if someone is doing a remote work and a company contracts them to do that freelance, are they ensuring that everything at home is suitable for the work they're doing?
Let's do sports now. And the Ghana Football Association announced Bet Power as official headline sponsor of the Ghana Premier League for the next 3 years. The deal with Bet Power is worth $6 million. Haruna Mubarak was at the ceremony and reports.
The two most powerful GFA officials in white, beaming with smiles, says a lot about the good news. It took their administration 3 years to secure a headline sponsor for Ghana's top flight competition. The FA president's request for a song to be played before giving his opening remarks indicated a sign of relief.
Oh, yeah. We know we will.
Respite for the boss. The partnership with Betway is aimed at properly marketing and positioning the Ghana Premier League to become one of the best on the continent, starting with financial support for clubs, their playing body, and the technical team.
For us here, we are super excited because what we have been preaching over the last few months is seeing the light of the day. And thank you for your big commitment in investing a minimum of $6 million over 3 years into Ghana football. Thank you. From this money, we shall see investment in the construction of a new football pitch and AstroTurf at the Ghanaman School of Excellence in Pram Pram. And that pitch will be named the Bet Power Pitch. Thank you. From the money that you intend to invest, we're going to see high levels of marketing and promotions of the GPL, which will be unprecedented for the first time in our history.
The last time the GFA signed a headline sponsor partnership was 4 years ago under the administration of then President Kwesi Nyantakyi, but it was short-lived after Anas Armiel Anas's investigative piece, which uncovered bribery and corruption in the sport. Patrick Akoto is the spokesperson for GPL side Media Sporting Club, and he hopes the agreement with Bet Power goes beyond the 3 years.
It's groundbreaking. I mean, we've been sponsorless for a very long time, so this come really handy, and we are grateful to Bet Power, and of course grateful to the leadership of the Ghana Football Association for able to broker this particular deal. I mean, $6 million for 3 years is okay. $2 million for each year. we are grateful to, the club's extremely grateful to Bet Power and the Football Association. I mean, it will go a long way in helping to, reduce the kind of financial burden that has crippled the clubs over the years. So we are very happy with it. You can see the razzmatazz. I mean, within the football ecosystem, people are happy about it, and we are hoping that it will be mutually beneficial to both parties. And of course, the president said that this is an initial 3-year period, so hopefully they can extend it after the 3-year period.
Smiling has not been an option for this GFA administration when headline sponsorship is mentioned since they took charge in 2019. But today it is inevitable because of this company. The deal means even more for the clubs because they will be expecting thousands of cedis to be hitting their bank accounts for the next 3 years. Haruna Mubarak from the Ghana Football Association Secretariat for Joy News.
And on that beautiful piece of report, we end today's sports news. We'll take a quick break. When we come, we have world news for you here on the Joy News today. And that's how we wrap up the holiday edition of Joy News today. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. There's more to come your way on the Joy News channel. Remember, this is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Do enjoy the rest of your afternoon.